Welcome to today's webinar. My name's Andrew Talbot and I'm going to walk you through 7 useful front-end tools that drive conversions for on-demand products. So let's have a start. What does drive conversion? Ultimately, on a standard product, e-commerce, it's difficult to predict exactly what a conversion rate is, but it's typically something like about 1%. Sometimes 2, 3, depends on the niche. But on a personalized or on-demand product, the conversion rates are much higher, at least 5%. And in this webinar, I'm going to walk you through a few tools like previews, save and share, up and cross-sell, gamification that can drive those conversion rates even higher. So when we talk on-demand products, what do we actually mean? Well, we mean a personalized product where there's a design where you can type in an element of it, or maybe a photo upload product where you've got a blank canvas and you can upload your own image. We also deal a little bit with configurable products where you can put parts and bits together, and made to measure products when you can do sizes, etc. So let's kick off with our 7 top tips. And if you haven't been to one of our webinars before, apologies for the breakneck speed, but it's how we tend to do it. So what we're going to do first of all is talk about mobile. So let's go and look at an example mobile here. So 60% of website sales are now on mobile. So actually, top tip number 1, unless you're going to make your personalization work on a mobile, then you're going to lose a lot of your customers. So it's easily the easiest way to drive conversion. And it is harder on a mobile because there's a lot of complicated areas. But you can see there, this is emulating a mobile here. And we might say number 14. So I hit done and it shuffles up and down the screen. We go next, takes me to the next screen. If I wanted to change the image, next. So previous, next. So you can see how a structure like this makes a more complex product able to be done on a mobile. And all our new apps now are responsive and work well on mobiles because, as we talked about here, if you don't make the effort on a mobile, you're going to lose at least half of your market. So look at our new Stepped and Flow app. So top tip number 1 has to work well on a mobile. Top tip number 2, excuse me, top tip number 2, you need a preview. You are much less likely to buy a product you cannot see. So it could be a simple 2D preview or a 3D preview. And if done correctly, it should automatically generate the artwork. So let's go and look at an example. So this is kind of like a 2D preview. So let's just upload an image onto that. And you can't really see that this is a specialist phone charger. But if you hit the 3D preview button and it does its magic, there in a minute, it will actually give us a 3D preview of that product. So then we can actually look at the product. We designed it nice and simply in 2D, but we can then completely explore it in 3D. So whether it's a 2D preview or a lot more impact you can see with a 3D preview. And we know from our customers that ultimately you can get up to a 60% higher conversion rate when you've got a decent preview. And you can see how interactive that was. So 2D, full 3D, or 2D to 3D. So that's tip number 2. So tip number 3, which applies to all e-commerce really, but you can have great images and great images sell. So, for example, you don't have to have the same image for your preview as you do for your thumbnail. And our new little thumbnail creator is a particularly good example of that. So you can see here the iPod case. That's a nice selling thumbnail that sells the product. But if we look for a preview test, we obviously don't need it like that in the preview. So on here, we can click on initials and go AT. But this thumbnail wouldn't sell it anywhere near as well as this thumbnail. So what we can do is if we go and look at the product, we've invented a little tool here. If we scroll down on the products to the assets section, and we've uploaded a separate thumbnail, which we can do here. But if we go into our little tool there, we can actually create thumbnails on this screen. So you see there, we can upload a product background. We can position this. We could add some text on there. So just type in something like your initials to make it descriptive. And mess around with how that displays. Put it on separate lines, so you can really get to grips with creating your ideal thumbnail. And then you could go product background, upload an background, hit save, and that would replace your thumbnail image. So going back here, good e-commerce platform, you can add backgrounds to make things look more fun. Different pack shots, you don't have to have the same image. And again, tip 3, that increases your conversion. So if we move on to tip 4, image sources for photo products. So let's kind of have a look at what I'm talking about. If we go add image here, we can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. So we've got about 10 sources there. You can also use the third-party libraries like Pixabay or Dreamscape. There's a few of them out there that we've integrated with now. But ultimately, with so many pictures taken, you lose conversion if people can't grab their image from where they've stored it. And you can't rely on people having the image on the device. It could be on their social network or anywhere else. So tip number 4, image sources, particularly important. Tip number 5, gamify the journey. Let's have some fun. And what I mean by that, if we go and look at a couple of examples, that's a face one. So this one, we've kind of created a bit of a funky product. So we could have some fun, grab an image, upload that image, and then it duplicates and places that image. So you can have some fun with putting images in the right place. You can also have some fun. On here, this is a good example where it says, what color is your blood? So I don't know, let's just change it to show that we can. So I've got orange blood. It then says, choose your worst nightmare. So what are you scared of? Is it spiders? Is it a skeleton? What are you most bothered about in terms of that? So it puts the skeleton. We've even used 3D here as well, and a funky Halloween background. Or we could change what we're most scared of to something different in terms of that. So it's quite fun in terms of the different things. And then we click on there, and obviously you could add your own message in terms of that. So going on to that, and we can have an outline color for our text. So there's a real lot of different things you can do to make a fun journey. And these are very simple examples. We can get a lot more complicated than that. So tip number 5, gamify. Tip number 6, cross-sell, upsell. I like this one because ultimately this is when you add one image and create one product, it then adds the same image to multiple products. And this is proven to do that. I have a nice example that I prepared earlier when I uploaded one icon, and then it created all these different fun products. I mean, obviously this is a particular type, but this principle can be applied to anything. You can add that one icon, and then it applies it to multiple different products. So tip number 6. So our final tip in the whistle stop section of how you can get more conversions is share and save. And this is particularly useful if you want to come back later to buy something. So you're designing something and you don't have time, so you hit the Save Design button. And in this particular use case, it lets you email that design, and that would then allow you to order later. on our website, which I think is pretty good. Or we can put a share button on, so it shares it on social media or emails it. We've just discussed. So there are various different options of sharing and saving, which just mean people are going to go back. So hopefully those 7 tips have given you some good ideas. And these are all standard features in our Gateway CPP platform. So going back to the beginning, all standard features of what drive conversion. Thank you for listening. I guess the other question you might want to ask us is, where can you find more information? Well, if you go to productpersonalizationapps.com, let's go onto there, which is where all my examples came from today. And we'll click and look at the home page. So product personalization. For those of you in the US, we use an S because I'm from England. And then you can just search for any example. We've got thousands of different examples of what we call smart links, and all designed to help you sell more products and drive your conversion factors. Thank you for listening. You can also go to custom-gateway.com for more information, and we hope to speak to you at some time in the future.